Hi, I'm Mallory Flynn, and I'm doing my presentation on Sherry Turkle. I know a lot of us already know a lot about her because we read her book Alone together in a previous class, but I promise you will learn something about her today. This is a picture of Miss Turkle, or I should say Dr. Turkle. Um, for early life and education, she was born in Brooklyn in 1948. She graduated high school in 1965 and was the valedictorian of her high school. She then went to Radcliffe College, where she received her bachelor's degree in social studies. And while she was here, she took a year off and she traveled through France, which she fell in love with. Then she went to Harvard University to get her master's in sociology. And then shortly after she received her master's, I guess it only took her 3 years, she got her doctorate in sociology and personality psychology. And within her dissertation, her research focused on France, where she had previously traveled, and she focused on the relationships between Freudian thought and the modern French Revolution movements. This is just some of her leadership. I'll probably mispronounce this, so my apologies. She's the Abby Rockefeller Mazzi Professor of Social Studies of Science and Technology in the program in Science, Technology, and Society at MIT. She's also the founder and director of the MIT Initiative on Technology and Self. And this center focuses on the growing connections between people and artifacts. These are some of her publications. Um, this is a list of her book, all of her books. She's an author of 9 books. Reclaiming Conversation is her most recent book, and then Alone Together is the one that we read in class, and it's also probably her most popular book. She's also an author of 3 reports, 15 chapters in books, and 22 articles. These are her major contributions in instructional technology. Um, Her main one, of course, is the human interactions with technology, and with that comes dependence, the connection, productivity, relationships, communication, multitasking, self-awareness, and social media. Um, and these are just the different things that we are going to be looking at throughout this presentation. Okay, so I know we did not do this live, but this is going to be one of my questions. Which device is your favorite? So just kind of think about that, and you can comment in the comment section as well. Out of all the devices we use, whether that be your smartphone, what type of smartphone do you use? Um, what type of device do you use? A Nook or an iPad? Or is your computer your favorite device? So what device is your favorite? I would have to say, I guess my smartphone, I just upgraded to the iPhone 6. So right now that's definitely my favorite device. I don't have an iPad, although that may be my favorite device if I had one. I do have a PC and a Mac, and I really like both of those computers. But because I use my phone the most often, I would have to say would be my favorite. And this was just another conversation piece, so please comment. Do you remember the days before our smartphones and devices? I know we were probably all different ages, but what do you remember about that? I remember when I was young that my dad had a pager, and whenever the babysitter was over, if something happened, she would have to page him, and then we would have to wait for him to call back. Um, so what do you remember before all this technology sparked in our lives? So, a lot of researchers out there argue that technology makes our lives more convenient. Um, and Turkle does a lot of comparison on today and the past in terms of technology. Like many of you, hopefully commented about how our life used to be prior to technology, she also reflects on that. And I really like Turkle because she, of course, what some may call it, plays the devil's advocate of technology. A lot of people and researchers just rave about technology and all the positives it brings, but Turkle takes a different stance on technology and debates that it has made some dangerous impacts in our lives. For example, a lot of people are less social today. So many people lack social skills and they struggle with carrying on a face to face conversation. A lot of times people would rather host difficult conversations such as apologizing or ending a relationship and confessing in an online arena because of the little emotion an online environment requires. In addition, people no longer strike up those spontaneous types of conversations with strangers, and they pretend that they're invisible or absent by using their device as a shield. And these people are too tethered to make conversations, or maybe they just don't have those bravery trait or social skills to talk to other people. And I think this is just a tragedy, as Turkle does, because it inhibits people from forming the independent skills required for daily and for future success. I mean, just think about being on, um, I don't know, in a waiting room, or I kind of think back to when I lived in DC. If you're on the metro or the subway, no one talks to anybody. It's completely silence. There isn't even music playing, and people are just on their phones. And if they bump someone, they won't even say sorry because they just act like it didn't happen or they didn't feel it because they're so tethered to their phone or their device. Um, and with those social skills or the lack of social skills comes a change in parenting. Parents are using the TV or another device as a babysitter for their children, and this poses great concern as well because parents are leaving their children home alone, um, without any supervision. And in Turkle's book Alone Together, she talks about all of this, and it's sad because some children believe that robots are more reliable and more efficient than their own parents are because robots don't upset, they don't let them down, and they don't judge them. So parents are definitely interacting less with their children because of the distraction caused by some type of technology and some type of device. People are also a lot more impatient. I'm sure you and everyone can agree with this. I know I can. People no longer have the energy or the desire to just simply wait because waiting in lines or waiting in traffic, waiting for a phone call is just such a daunting task today. People want that instant gratification because they know they can reach any information they need at their fingertips, and I know that's something we talked about in another class. And then people are also less productive today. They're so distracted by technology, therefore they're just less productive. They're not giving their undivided attention to a chore and that they're completing. And today people are giving fractions of their attention, and this is because they're just focused on multiple jobs or also their technology. Turkle also discusses attachment and connection to these types of devices and technology. Um, so I want you to look down next to you, and is your phone sitting next to you? And better yet, do you have your messages forwarded from your compute from your phone to your computer? I know I do. So every time I get a text, it pops up on my Mac. Um, so Turkle describes how we have a desire to be in constant connection with our devices and with others. Um, Humans must carry a device with them at all times in order to be tethered to that virtual world. And I was going to have everyone do a green check, but I want you to think about, or you can comment, do you feel anxious when you don't have your phone? And why do we feel this? I know for me, before I got my new phone, I guess I think I had the iPhone 5, but it would only work if it was plugged in. So if I didn't have it charging, my battery would die instantly. And every time my battery would die, I would so many times just like go look at it and click it, and I'm like, oh yeah, my phone is dead. But then I would grow anxious because I couldn't communicate with anybody. I couldn't talk to anybody. Um, so why do you think we feel this way? I feel like it's almost just innate because I can't help that I feel that way. All right, social media. Um, this is another form of course, major connection and attachment. And social media has become such a problem that it consumes people's time, it consumes their emotions and their thoughts. Um, And it consumes people so much that they don't spend time with the ones they are physically surrounded by, of course, hence alone together. Instead, they're too focused on what's occurring on the internet or what's happening on their social media pages. And unfortunately, social media encourages us to represent ourselves under a false pretense. It's not really who we are on social media. A lot of people lie about that, or they look happy and like everything is going well when honestly everything is not going well, and they may be sad or suffering. Oops, sorry, my slide messed up there. Looks like my font was a little big. This is her current work. So right now, or her in her most recent Turkle's most recent publication, she just wrote Reclaiming Conversation. And within this, Turkle investigates how to flight from conversation, or when people do that, how that weakens our relationships, our creativity, and our productivity. And Turkle also poses the question of why we're always determined to communicate, but we refuse to do it in person and in that face-to-face atmosphere. She's done a lot of um, she's been at a lot of conferences. She was at the Aspen conference where she talked about this. So there are many videos on reclaiming conversation, and it's very interesting work. And then for future work, so her future studies may focus on the development of technology, um, or the future developments, and specifically those of robots, it could be including smartphones, computers, and those that are or will be more human-like. And multiple case studies may be completed to identify the level of the robotic companionship versus human companionship. So are we closer to robots than we are to humans? And then in addition, human conversational skills can also be observed with this. She may measure and compare um, those conversational skills from the past to the future. And then, of course, as more technology is designed, the culture will continue to transform, which will lead Turkle to bring forth more awareness to those who are impacted, and that's those who are in instructional technology field and those who are not. And here's a list of my references. I hope you enjoyed learning about Sherry Turkle, and please comment with questions or anything that you learned from her or any other discussions you want to talk about. Thank you.